Construction champions, it's your host, Ron Nussbaum, and we're here for another amazing episode of Construction Champions Podcast, where we're still burning down the damn house so we can rebuild it. Twice a week, we come on here and we have amazing conversations. There's gold in every episode, and I don't say that because of myself. I say it because I bring on guests like Harrisson today. Thank you for being with us.
Yeah, thank you, Ron. I was holding on to my seat because I knew you were gonna come out with the guns blazing, baby. I'm ready for it.
Hey, we got to bring the fire and get people pumped up because for me, I think it's an exciting time to be in the construction industry.
I'm
Right
with you,
now, I
man.
mean,
I'm with you.
it's just amazing. And I know you're going to bring some fire today. We just talked a little bit, and I know you're gonna knock it out of the park. You guys better be ready today because it's going to be amazing. Because we deliver here on Construction Champions Podcast, and not we. I mean, the guests do. The guests always deliver because we bring on guys and girls that have a heart for the industry. We don't just bring on people that just want to come on here and hear themselves talk about whatever. We bring on people that want you to do better every day. So, with that being said, why don't you tell all the construction champions out there a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, thanks, Ron. And you're exactly right. I'm gonna bring the heat with you, brother, because we're gonna do this. We're gonna do this right. So I'm Harrisson Tash. I'm the founder of Living Water Consulting. And at Living Water, we help companies scale and streamline their companies. And we do it because we want those companies to have the freedom they deserve and not be enslaved by the company that they created. And whether that's a small business making 5 million or 15 million, or a larger company making 50 to 100 million, we work with that range of size company because we believe that the construction industry needs help, because what got you to start that company or what leveled it up isn't going to get you to level it up again. You're going to need to figure out new ways and run with the economy and run with where it's at in today's state. And that's not what helped you become the best company, yesteryear, right? And so that's what we do. That's what we do. And we concentrate on it pretty heavily. And we work with a lot of great construction companies. And we love doing it because that's where we came from. And that's where we learned about how awesome this country is because of what's been built, right? So we're building America and we're going to help strengthen it too.
Absolutely, man. We're the backbone. You want to have anything if it wasn't for the construction industry. From the houses we live in to the roads we drive down,
That's right.
it wouldn't exist without the men and women out there swinging the hammers, doing the work. So did you want to say something before we jump
Well,
in?
I was just gonna take the time and thank your audience. You're exactly right. This isn't a profession that is just glorified amongst everyone. So, your audience that's listening, I want to personally thank them, and I love to do this with companies that we're working with because it's your employees, it's you out there actually making it happen, and you're keeping it alive. So, thank you to your audience.
I love it, man. One of the reasons I do this podcast is to help change the mindset around construction, because I truly believe we're on the cusp of where the construction industry is going to start to be looked at with the doctors and the lawyers and all of this. And, to dive into a little personal reason behind that. So my wife is a medical esthetician and worked in plastic surgery offices for over 15 years. And we would go to these Christmas dinners, and here I am. I'm this operations guy from construction. We're running a company doing 20 million plus a year. And these guys would look at me with disdain and almost laughing that because I'm in the construction industry. And I'm thinking, dude, you're struggling to do a couple million in plastic surgery, keep anybody here working, and make a profit. Like, give me a break. Like, what? But that's the interpretation, and that's not how it should be at all. And I think we're finally on the cusp of that changing.
Oh man, we're gonna make construction sexy again. All right, Ron. That's what we're gonna do.
Absolutely, man. So let's dive in there.
Yeah, let's do it.
What makes a construction champion?
All right. Well, I saw this question on the prompt when we were getting ready for this, and man, my mind went to 1,000 different ways. But now that you ask it, I think I'm gonna go off the cuff here. I think what makes a construction champion is a company or an individual. I don't care if you're running your own company by yourself. It is someone who's going to preserve the trades. It's someone who's going to preserve the trades and, like what we just talked about, grow a company that's sustainable so that that people who really want to be a part of the trades and work with their hands and do what they do best have the opportunity to do it. So you're a construction champion if you're listening to this podcast and you're creating a sustainable company by growing and making this economy better. You're a construction champion. That's exactly it. And of course, we can go deeper into that of what that means, but for sure, that's the overall arching theme for me.
Absolutely, I love it, and we're going to dive into that because this is something you help guys do on all different levels, is create that kind of company that can develop into that. So
Yeah.
I think, with that being said, is that you have the 1-2 man operations out there, and they want to grow, they want to have that sustainable thing, they want to create all the dreams that they had on why they started the company, as well as grow it and be a staple in their community. I mean, who sponsors all the little league teams? Like,
That's right. Yes.
so, but I mean, like, with these, we want to be that cornerstone in our communities. How do we build those companies that allow us to be able to do that?
Yeah, that's a great question. There's probably 1,000 ways to split it, right? And to figure out what really helps a company become its best. But I'm going to give your audience something that comes from research, it comes from experience, and it comes from literally living it out with tons of companies, dozens and dozens a year. And I'm going to give you a framework that I think that you and your audience would love. So we have a proprietary system, and it is not tailored to just us. It is literally boiled down to help any company in construction and beyond. But here's what it is. 8 to great is what we call it, because 8 to great's easy to remember. Everyone loves, like everyone loves saying that. 8 to great. Come on. Like, if you can do these 8 things, you can become great. And we call this the components of thriving businesses, right? If you want to be a thriving business, these 8 things will get you there. And so I'll give you the first 4, and we can talk on the first 4, and we'll move to the next 4 if we have time. But the first 4 is the most important thing, that if you really want a sustainable company, you've got to figure out these 4 things. And that is leadership health, compelling vision, understand your why and your purpose, and you have to have your core values in place. And I don't just mean on a wall, I mean working core values. So that's the foundational 4 of the 8 to great. And then once you have that, we can build on that.
That is a hell of a foundation. I mean, that is I don't know if we're gonna have time to get through all 4 of them. Like,
yeah, there's a lot there. And I'll break down at least in a snippet, because I know this podcast is probably supposed to be more, let's provoke thought and then let's have conversations later. So leadership health, what do we mean by that? We mean that there are hardworking Americans in this country. And, we talked about this earlier. Construction has certainly been a place where hardworking Americans belong. And leadership health is the balance between being able to wake up and love what you do without pulling your hair out, so that the rest of the people who work for you don't feel like they need to pull their hair out too. And so leadership health is a lot of things, but essentially it starts at the top. It starts with the president. It starts with the owner. You have to be healthy enough to know when to hang it up, and you have to be healthy enough know to when to pick it up, when to put on the gas, when to take off the gas pedal. And healthy leadership is this idea of having a a self-orientation where it's about other people, not you. It's about becoming a people developer, a leader, and about growing people who know how to make other people developers. Because essentially, this term leadership has been used so broadly, and we've narrowed down the term to become more of a people developer. We don't want you just to be leaders. We want you to be people who develop other people and strengthen other people more than you want it for yourself, because when you do that, you actually end up growing who you are as an individual. So, and I'm sure there's lots more to go into leadership help, but that's just, a little snippet there, right?
Yeah, no, but I love that. I mean, as leaders, like we have to have that stuff locked in. If you don't, it's just a ripple effect down through your business.
Yeah.
And then you wonder why is stuff like this. And a lot of times I just say, like, you need to just go look in the mirror. Like that's why. Like as being the founder, the one that decided that you're going to have this business, you made a decision to be that leader in whatever comes with that. And I love when you talk about the people development, because that is the fastest way to get your business to where you want it to be, and then also make a better place for your employees, the people that are there, is investing in them and developing them and figuring out what do they want to do, what are their dreams and aspirations, and helping them chase that down.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would love to give a resource to anybody who's listening that really wants it, but we use a proprietary model called the People Developers Gig, which essentially helps you keep it in mind of what it means to be a people developer, which is you need to grow individuals, you need to invest in them, and you need to guide them. And if you can do those three things, you'll see your company grow faster than what you ever can and what you ever thought you could. And, people love stories, so I'll just give a quick story, right? We were working with a company that had less than 5 people in it. Now, listen, we don't normally do startups, but they were similar to a startup. They just had very little cash flow. But anyways, we're working with with the president and one of the co-founders. And it was just so interesting that when we were talking to him, we're like, so where do you think your stunt of growth is? Because by year 5, you were projecting you were going to be at around $3 million company, and you're half that. So what is it? And no one put a finger on it. But when we started getting really into it and figuring out what was going on in their mindsets, we figured out that they weren't in that people developer mindset. They brought on 3 people early, and those 3 people were being held back. And so after we started really working with this, it was really awesome. About 1 month in, one of the co-founders goes to the operations lead and says, "Hey, I know I've been holding you back, and we have not let you take the reins on this, but the truth of the matter is you're better at it than we are." And he was talking about the sales process. The co-owner thought he had to be in front of every single owner and had to be there for every meeting. And then he was trying to run the fields at the same time, right? And so he goes, "I want you to fully take it, embrace it, and I want you to be the face of this company because you're better at it than I am." I'm not kidding you. Within 3 months, we saw some drastic changes. Now, let's see how it plays out in a year or so. But I'm telling you, it's on the right projection of the company, because they took the seat in the back and said, "You know what? You drive this portion of our company because you're going to be way better at it." That's a people developer.
Yeah, but that's what we end up doing. Like we get uncomfortable enough to bring in somebody that's really good at it, but then we let that fear drive us more, where it's like, no, I don't want you to be fully out there. Like I'm gonna have to continue to babysit you, but because we don't want to get that much more uncomfortable, but we intentionally hold our own business back. We hold people back. They get frustrated because of that.
Yeah.
That's why they end up leaving. But I love that, because that right there is showing that not just being a people grower, but personal growth. Like
Yeah,
you
for
have to
sure.
understand, when you bring somebody on, you need to let them do what you brought them on for and
Yeah.
not be afraid of that.
Yeah, 100%. And the second one, compelling vision. if you're listening to this podcast and you're like, I don't know if this is for me. Okay, well, keep listening because we got more for you. Compelling vision is the second one. And the reason why it's second after leadership health, because you can't have a vision unless you have good, healthy leadership. And you can try to have a good vision, but if you don't have good, healthy leadership, people aren't going to follow you anyways. So you better get first one intact. The second one, compelling vision, is all about having a vision for your company that actually drives you somewhere. 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey uses the one of the laws of essentially keep the end in mind, right? Well, that's exactly what vision is. And a lot of people think, well, I want to create a $5 million company. Well, I'll tell you what, that's great. And it's one measurement you can use, but that's probably not going to get the rest of your crew in line to go, yeah, I want to build this guy a $5 million company, right? You got to have a compelling vision that actually shows them what you're doing. One of the great companies we work with is Dancer Concrete Design out of Fort Wayne, Indiana. And their driving force, which is essentially a part of their vision, but it's not exactly just their vision. Their driving force is growing leaders who grow leaders, who deliver the best work. And so if you work for them, you know one thing. Their vision is to help grow you into the best version of you and not grow just the revenue, right? And so when we get these young kids out of college and out of high school come work for them, and they're grinding floors, doing hard work. I mean, their knees are worn, right? I mean, they're doing hard work. These guys are on board because they know they're going to get monthly trainings. They're going to group up as a team and talk about what makes them better. They're going to do all these things because their driving force is showing them that there's a vision for them in that company. And it's really cool because you'll have guys that are 25, 26 years old, super responsible kids, young adults, I guess I should say, young adults who are in the seat doing and leading work for them. And then you go to other companies that don't have that kind of compelling vision. You know what you see? You see young adults on their phones when people aren't looking. You see them, run across to the gas station when the boss leaves the site. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because they don't have a compelling vision in mind of where they're headed. So that's the second one, compelling vision.
Well, I mean, if you're just chasing down top line revenue, you're just going it's like a circus. Like it's how big of a tent do you want to get up, and everything that's happening inside of it's going to be a mess because that it's not the end all be all. We talk on here all the time, not all the time, but I like to bring it up. Is like, do you need to have a $5 million company? Like, what does that do? What do you think that looks like?
Yeah.
You need a 10 million. Like sometimes we just get so caught up in what top line revenue is and what that means that we don't look at everything else that goes with it and what really does matter. And if we focus on that, and that's all the people are focused on, like you said, are they interested in you going and building a $5 million company? Probably not. Are they interested in being the best version of themselves? Absolutely.
Yeah.
So you got to have the vision that you can cast that brings people along, that they can feel it. So I love that. I mean, it's so necessary.
Yeah, 100%. And I think sometimes people can think this stuff is squishy, right? It's like, yeah, this is squishy. But it is when you believe in it and you actually say, okay, I'm gonna put the effort into this stuff that helps us drive a company. It is literally the conduit that actually gets you to healthy growth. Like when you do this foundational 4, when you actually put the effort into it and you believe in it, it's what actually gets you to where you want to go. Because if, like you said, if you concentrate just on the putting the tin up and seeing how big you can get it, I'm telling you right now, there is a generation that's already working in the workforce today that could care less if they put money in your pocket. And then the third one, the why or the purpose. That one's really it's deep because it's essentially, it's not just why you do what you do for money. It's why you do what you do, period. And so, we work with a manufacturing company that's tied to the construction industry, helps a lot of GCs with custom cabinet components. And their why is that they take pride in developing world-class skills to finding customized solutions to their customers' biggest challenges. And so if you work for them, you know you're going to get to use your trade as a way to problem solve, because they're custom. They're not just spitting out the same thing at day after day. They got to find custom solutions for you. And so they don't hire people that just want to make a product. They hire people that want to solve problems. So it's finding what's that why. Another example of this, maybe your audience can resonate with this, but we work with a very large general contractor, Wygan Construction. They're a great company. And their why is they impact the lives in the communities and lives that they serve. And so everywhere they go, they will do service projects. They'll make sure that they do everything they can to create a partnership with that customer, that client, and then they'll help the community with them. They were building I believe it was some sort of annex building in Albion, Indiana, and they did an entire. They invited the entire company to do a service project, and it was doing things all over the small community that they were building this in. They built ramps for wheelchairs. They did stairs. They helped remodel some outside of buildings and stuff. And I mean, they did everything. And so they knew that they were bringing impact to that community. And I can tell you, like, everyone that was there that day, they were like, you know what, like, this is what it's about, right? It's not about the top line. It's about what we do and how we make an impact on this world. So anyways, Ron, you add into this. I'm talking
well,
too
no,
much,
man. It's what I say. It's not because of me that this show is amazing. It's because of the guests. Like, everything you're saying is on point. I mean, you got to have a why or purpose. Like, you can have a vision, you could be a people developer, but if you don't give them a reason and the why behind what you're doing and a purpose, they're not going to be excited about going and doing it. Like, you got to have something that's overarching that makes them say, yes, I want to go to the extra mile, and it's because this is our purpose, or this is the why behind why we need to be this company.
Yeah.
And why to get us to the vision. I couldn't agree anymore with what you're saying. I think this is I'm putting it down. This is the 4 truths that you have to have for a business. Like, to be successful in business, like what we're talking about, like, this is the foundation. Like, you can't build off of not having this unless you want to tear it back down. Like I say, if you want to keep lighting it on fire and building it back up, like, you have to have this stuff as the foundation.
Yeah, 100%. And just real quick on that last one, core values. People have created these, they know about them. I don't want to spend a lot of time on it, but I will tell you, it is the filter for all your decisions. What you value, you better make sure that when you make decisions for your company, you ensure that your values align with those decisions. Mm-hmm. So it is literally the funnel that filters everything down for you. And a good example of this is, like, we do a lot of strategic planning with companies, because, if you can have a good plan in place and we can help you execute it by putting the right people in charge of certain areas and running cohesive teams, you can succeed. But those decisions on where the strategy is, where you're going to put your pressure points at in your business, that's strategy. And it's just choices. It's your choice. But it's interesting. Sometimes we'll say, some companies will say, like, well, we're a family oriented company, or we value family. Okay. And then they make these decisions where that husband has to be on the road 3 weeks out of the 4 weeks every month of the year. And you got to go back to the drawing board and say, well, is that valuing family if you're going to force that to happen? And you kind of, you use those values as a filter to say, okay, you're right. Like, are we getting outside of what we intended to do? And are we just becoming money hungry, or are we actually staying true to our values? So that's the last one. So leadership health, compelling vision, your why or your purpose, and core values. That's your foundational 4. That's where you got to put all that focus so you can build on the next 4. And I'll give a sneak peek in the next 4 before we end
Well, and I
today.
love when you preference the core values is one of the things that stood out to me that you said is they better be working core values in your company because everybody can post them on the wall. Like,
Yeah.
how many places do you go in that hasn't posted, but are they working throughout your company? And not from you, is that leadership? Are they using the core values to guide decisions as you develop them? Like, this is, I think we can get lost in like, hey, yeah, I have my core values, man. They're slapped on the wall over there. Are you idiot? You walked by them on your way in.
Yeah.
But that's not the question when we start talking about core values, is like you said, are we if we're a family company and we value that, but we got guys on the road all month long, like
Yeah.
are we living by them? Are they working throughout our company? If you went and asked anybody in the company, would they say, yeah, not only do I know the core values, but I can give you instances where I saw them in action within our company.
Yeah. Well, there's a company that, we're hopefully partnering with because they're an amazing company, Mount Carmel Stabilization. And they're in multiple locations, one being Illinois. And they're just an amazing company. But I just got off the phone with one of their employees and I said, do you guys show all this stuff that you're doing with your employees? And it was amazing. They were, it was a rain day. Instead of just sending their employees home, they're sitting in a training room learning how to be better leaders. They're learning, better safety hacks, right? And it's like that is the kind of investment. And if that's one of their core values of investing in their employees, they're certainly hitting that metric because the guy I talked to was not a C-suite level individual. And he said, man, I can't tell you how much they actually live out their core values because when I started working here a year ago, he's like, I didn't even know. But it's like literally, it's like going to work every day excited because they're putting their words where their mouth is. They're actually putting their money where the mouth is. They're doing it. And so companies like that are just so encouraging in this construction industry because a lot of times it's hard to live out these things. It takes intentionality, it takes accountability, and you really, really have to be consistent at it to make a difference.
Well, it's not the status quo in construction.
Right.
It's that's not how we've always done it. But I'm a believer in like we have to treat construction business just like any other business. Like we just happen to be in construction, and the way to be a champion is to use it just like it's a business, just like it's a
Yeah.
Fortune 100 company. Run it like a business, and everything would be better. Not how we've always done it in construction. This is how we get these differentiators and we elevate the industry. Because I'll tell you one thing that when you were talking there that popped into my mind is what you're talking about is the difference between the guy at Home Depot or Lowe's, whatever your Menards, whatever your shopping area is. It's the difference between the guy getting out of the old beat up truck that's completely stressed out, doesn't know what to do, and has been at this for 30 years, or the guy that's getting out of the brand new pickup truck in his nice shirt, everything looks like it's squared away, not stressing. That's the difference. What we're talking about here is the fundamental difference between those two people. And I know we see it all the time. It doesn't matter which one of those you are currently, or if you're neither one of those and you're somewhere in between, but you walk in and you're like, man, that guy's a complete mess. But this guy over here, man, he's got his shit together. What we're talking about is the difference in
Yeah,
that.
for sure. Well, and we talk about our services as scaling and streamlining, and we partner with mission driven CEOs and owners, business owners, to scale and streamline their businesses, their companies, so they can have the freedom they deserve. And that freedom doesn't mean you don't work. It means that, just like what you said, it means you're not pulling out your hair and banging your head on the wall trying to figure it out again and again and again. You have a team, you have a strong employee base who are taking on and are empowered to do what they do best. And you're this great visionary integrator, individual who's sitting there, being able to not only put the direction where it needs to go, but then keep the ship steered in the right direction. And so, yeah, you're exactly right. That's the difference between the two is, and we see it too. I mean, we've had companies come to us and like stress, you know what I mean? Like, hey, if you can figure this out for us, we'll pay you $1 million, they never satisfy that original bet, but they certainly come to us in that mindset. And I'll take it every day. If someone just doesn't know how, I'll take that every day. That's fine. But I also love working with companies who just want to level up one more time, right?
I love it, man. Great stuff today. It looks like
Yeah.
all the four are just going to have to be a mystery, but I feel like we can probably help some listeners out there by, where can they find you? Where if they wanted to know those other four,
Yeah.
where do they need to go?
Yeah. Thanks, Ron. Appreciate that. They can go to LinkedIn and look up Harrisson Tash. You can find me on LinkedIn, connect with me. Would love to connect with you. I post stuff all the time, so I'm sure I got a team that helps keep up with some of that stuff. So I'm sure you would love to see some of the stuff that we're generating there. But you could also go to Living Water. So go to consultlivingwater.com and then go to the contact us page and just fill out that information and send it to us. We'd love to connect with you, get you a resource. If you want to know more about the People Developers gig, you want to know more about the 8 to Great of how to become a thriving business, would love to get that information out to you. And maybe we can have a conversation about what's going on in your business. I don't know, whatever your audience wants to do, we're absolutely willing to give as many resources as they need. So
awesome, man. I knew that right when we met. You definitely have a heart for the industry, and I thank you for coming on today and sharing gold with our audience.
Yeah, thank you, Ron, and thank you for bringing the energy, man. That's what we need right there.
What
You
it's
know what?
about,
I'm gonna
man.
do this. I'm gonna do this for you. If you're listening to this podcast and you haven't shared it yet, you better do it because I'm telling you, Ron's bringing great content. And I've enjoyed the podcast myself. So share it with somebody else and like it and leave a review. And I'm looking forward to continuing, getting to know you a little bit more, Ron, and hopefully getting to know some of your audience.
Absolutely, man. Thank you. And for the construction champions out there, it's been another fantastic episode. Well, I think the biggest takeaway is you need to build the damn foundation for your business before you start taking off somewhere. The circus tent analogy got thrown out there, and then Harrisson was like, you just try to make it bigger, because that's what a lot of us are doing, because there's no foundation under a tent. And it's a circus happening in the middle of it, because all we're trying to do is chase down some figment of imagination. It's like a Fugazi. If you ever seen Wolf on Wall Street, when he's sitting there and he's doing we're chasing down something that we just decided was going to be the number. Oh, we're going to get to $10 million. I'm going to throw this 10 up. It's going to be great. And it's just a circus. And you're that guy walking into Lowe's or wherever, pulling your hair out, trying to figure out how the guy with the good hair and the nice truck is doing it when his company's 10 times the size of yours. It's because he decided to build the damn foundation, and not just build it, implement it, use it. I think that's one of the things that Harrisson touched on so well today, is that this stuff has to be working in your business. You just can't do it and then magic happens. It has to be something that you're intentional with, and then you have to be actually intentional with doing it in your business as you grow your business with your people. It's the only way it ever works, because everybody can see through the circus tent that it's just pretending to be the Taj Mahal. Like that, people can see that, and they're not going to stick around for it. So, construction champions, it's been another amazing episode. And until next week, go be the champion you were meant to be. Hey, construction champions, it's your host, Ron Nussbaum here, and I want to talk to you about how you can automate all of your marketing. We've had so many people on here talk about getting the systems in place. Well, we have partnered with Build 12 and Construction Champions podcast. Les O'Hara, the founder, what really excites me is his 30 years in the industry. And now he's built a system to be able to nurture your leads and continue to utilize that. I personally use the system myself. Build 12 is absolutely amazing. There's a lot of value in there, and it's a way to start getting away from Angie's List and all of that kind of stuff and start actually creating your own leads every day and have a system for them. So go on our website, check out the show notes, go check out Build 12 and what it can do for the front end of your business today. It's absolutely amazing. I highly recommend going and meeting with Les and his son, Devin, and talking to him about what they built for their own business so the rest of the industry can take benefit from that. Here on Construction Champions, we're all about helping each other out. And what is better than contractors helping contractors? I say nothing. So let's go take this to the next level. Go check out Build 12. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me or Les or his son, Devin. We're here to help. We want to continue to grow the industry.